She's so frustrating. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Narcissists are frustrating. They're frustrating because they make your life very difficult. They're frustrating because it often seems to be the case that no matter what you want them to do, they will do the opposite. They're frustrating as a consequence of hypocrisies, contrarian behaviour, the abuse that they dole out to you. Some would go further and say it's more than just frustration that you experience. Indeed, but in this instance, we are going to examine the frustration that Prince Harry experiences as a consequence of his wife's behaviour. Many people find narcissists frustrating, although they don't realise that is what they are dealing with. They don't realise that they are dealing with an individual who has an innate and pathological need to control everybody around them in order to validate their own existence through the provision of fuel. The narcissist must be at the centre of matters. This means they must walk in front of you, be served ahead of you, be acknowledged ahead of you, get to talk before you do, talk over you, interrupt you, talk when it's your turn to say something, talk for too long, perhaps talk in an inappropriate fashion. Whatever it might be, no boundary can stand against the narcissist's insatiable need to place them at the centre of everything. No attempt to say to the narcissist, if you could just stand in the background quietly whilst I speak, will work. The narcissism, like a raging beast, is propelling the narcissist to ensure that they are seen. The narcissist believes that every word that comes out of their mouth is important, is spellbinding, is insightful and profound. Harry's wife suffers from this affliction particularly, and it is so stark. She never has anything of interest to say, other than providing us with material to examine to demonstrate her narcissism. She never offers any meaningful insight. She doesn't offer any profound observations. All she does is spout beige word salad and fridge magnet platitudes. And yet, she is so self-satisfied with what she has to say. Whenever I have the misfortune to have to listen to what Harry's wife has said, where she indulges in telling everybody about her brilliance, because Madam always knows better than everybody else, it invariably puts me in mind of a scene from the film American Psycho. You'll be familiar with that. But the satisfaction and condescending nature exhibited by Patrick Bateman when he's dining at a spas and he talks about what needs to be done in the world. If you're not familiar with it, Bateman is there dining with some of his friends, and there is a slight disagreement taking place between two more bohemian friends compared to the yuppies. And Bateman interjects by saying, "Come on, Bryce, there are a lot more important things than Sri Lanka to worry about." Bryce asks, "Like what?" And then Bateman embarks upon a short speech saying, "Well, we have to end apartheid for one, and slow down the nuclear arms race, stop terrorism and world hunger. We have to provide food and shelter for the homeless and oppose racial discrimination and promote civil rights, whilst also promoting equal rights for women. We have to encourage a return to traditional moral values. Most importantly, we have to promote general social concern. Less materialism in young people." That, of course, causes Bryce to spit his drink into his glass. And then Louis Carruthers adds, "Patrick, how thought-provoking," because he's a kiss-ass. And at that, Patrick Bateman acknowledges it with a slight nod, a look of satisfaction upon his face, and then takes a drink. His response, and then as he looks around himself, is as if to say, fucking great speech. Of course, he doesn't mean a word of it, and it is completely at odds with the behaviour or perceived behaviour that he engages in. But it puts me in mind of Harry's wife, or rather Harry's wife puts me in mind of that speech, that at the end of each beige word salad that she pumps out, she will have that same level of smug self-satisfaction that Patrick Bateman has, namely, that was fucking brilliant, when in fact other people have fallen asleep as a consequence of how dull it is. Thus there is this frustration with her, and the Daily Express, through Sophia Papamavrudi, tells us, Prince Harry appeared to have been frustrated during his latest visit to New York as he struggled to share airtime with his wife, Harry's wife, a body language expert has claimed. Well, you don't need to be a body language expert to know that it has to be all about her if you understand narcissism and how she takes over events which are meant to be a joint collaboration in order to ensure that she is the star. The expert explained that the Duchess of Sussex appeared to be struggling to find a purpose. Well, I think it's actually struggling to find a meaningful thing to say when she was speaking in a panel about mental wellness in a digital age. Body language expert Darren Stanton analysed the couple as they attended the event and explained that the Duke of Sussex has two sides. A relaxed one when he's on his own, and he's a tense one, when he's with Harry's wife. Again, you don't need to be a body language expert to see that. It is patently obvious. He's far happier when she's not around. And he is gloomy, grumpy, and tense when she is. The reason for this is simple. When she is around, she must control him, and he's in the sustained devaluation. And therefore, that means that she's probably muttering under her breath, "Stand here, Harry, don't do that, Harry," pushing and prodding him, pulling him, guiding him. And also, he has engaged in enough public appearances himself over the years that he sees that much of her behaviour is self-promoting and crass, but because his balls are in her handbag, he won't do anything about it. He, although not particularly bright and subsumed in his emotional thinking, is still capable of seeing when her behaviour is out of line. He's just so resigned, defeated and deflated that he doesn't do anything about it, and instead he sits there cringing at her latest fashion faux pas or protocol misstep that she engages in. The body language expert explained, "I feel that there are two sides to Harry. When he's on his own, like at the Invictus Games, he's incredibly relaxed. His shoulders will be down, and he smiles a great deal. You can see a degree of calmness. When he speaks to the press on his own, he's incredibly passionate and authentic. He comes over really well and gets lots of applause. Well, that's as a consequence of 1, his emotional empathy for the audience that he's engaging with. 2, he's enthused and dealing with something that he actually enjoys and is fairly good at doing. 3, this is what he's used to. He's been brought up to engage with people this way as part of his service as a member of the royal family. 4, his handler isn't there, either controlling him or overshadowing him." But the expert added that when Harry is with Harry's wife, he does have a dramatic shift in emotions in terms of how he comes over. He said, "We can see in a number of photos from the New York conference that she's beaming. She's got a big smile on, but he's looking like someone has stolen his sweets. His eyebrows are down and pulled together, displaying frustration and anger. And you think, why is Harry's wife displaying joy and happiness and he's not? Well, the answer to that is, she's fueled. She's getting the attention which makes her feel powerful, which translates into an outward expression of apparent joy and happiness. For him, it's not so much as him feeling, oh, I want to be top dog, but rather this is meant to be an equal presentation and she's hogging all of the limelight. Again. Stanton added that Harry's wife herself appears to be struggling to find a purpose at the moment, so she almost tags onto Harry's coattail. I think he finds it frustrating because he's trying to achieve certain things, but with her there, his message gets diluted, and it's almost like having to share airtime, even though it's his wife. And of course, that's part of the problem, that she has to make it all about her. And that means she is going to take over, that she is going to elbow him out of the way, that she is going to say, I'll talk rather than you. And I'm quite sure at times, as he sits and listens to what she has to say, he thinks, right, okay, that meant nothing, didn't it? And he's somewhat embarrassed as a consequence of what she says. So it's no surprise at all that he finds her behaviour frustrating, and it's all as a consequence of the necessity of her being the one that's drinking in the fuel by being the centre of attention, driven, of course, by her narcissism. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.